The Cape Coast Castle is famous for the high number of slaves that went through it into the Caribbean at the height of the transatlantic slave trade. Now a new project named after the Edinkra symbol in Chinchim, depicting life's twists and turns, is seeking to shine a light on the horrors the slaves may have endured at the time by installing concrete skulls in the castle's dungeons. JoyNews' Justice Beidou went to meet the man behind the project.
This 400-year-old structure holds some of the most horrific stories of all time. Stories of torture, of brutal rape and servitude. From here, hundreds of thousands of slaves were shipped into an unknown world. Many died, some survived, others unaccounted for. It's been 2 centuries since slavery was officially abolished, and yet, standing in the dark dungeons of this castle, you can still feel its heaviness. You can literally touch the blood of those who were starved and crushed to death here.
When you look at their faces, they have differences in expressions, and some of them look gloomy, despair, angry, and what have you. Some too were blindfolded because the one who ordered for their capture didn't want to hide his identity.
But now they are coming home. Well, not in flesh and blood, but at least through art. I am on my way to the seaside town of Ada to meet Kwame Akoto Bamfo, the man behind the Inchinchim project. Hello, Kwame. Kwame Akoto Bamfo, a Ghanaian teacher of several years, is also a sculptor whose works dedicated to the memory of the victims of the transatlantic slave trade has been on display at the National Memorial for Peace and Justice that opened in 2018 in Montgomery, Alabama.
The Inchinchim installation is not only about slavery, but this particular section is exactly what it is. They are our enslaved ancestors who went through the Middle Passage, who were taken from various parts of the continents, taken to other places in Europe to go and work, and then suffered, inhumane treatment. That's what I try to represent with these heads. Hence the various expressions of pain, sadness, remorse, all the expressions that you can gather for 600 years that slavery took place. Yeah.
It's been about 200 years since slavery formally came to an end. But this Inchinchim project may well be the closest we've ever come to visualizing how painful the ordeal would have come for many of the people who lived through it.
There's this controversy about why we always portraying ourselves as slaves. The installation goes back to refer us to who we are or where we came from, and then where we can go once we have an understanding of, what we've been as a people.
The work that Kwame is doing with the Inchinchim project is sure to change the narrative of the transatlantic slave trade for years to come. Justice Beidou, JoyNews, Cape Coast.